I'm Jennifer Eggers, President and founder of LeaderShift Insights, and I wanted to share with you some great news that I'm really excited about. It's our new program, our Leadership Recovery and Re-Engagement Plan, and it's all about how to help you and your team emerge stronger and faster from the disruption we're in related to the pandemic of COVID-19. There's a free download, and I would invite you to take a look at the details. You can probably do a lot of this yourself. But frankly, if you just want to talk about how to pull this off, or if you want help facilitating it, we'd be more than happy to talk. The program starts right now, even virtually. No matter whether you're back in the office or not, what we know about resilience is that one of the first characteristics of resilient people and organizations, and perhaps the most important, is the ability to find meaning in a situation. And there is no time like the present to do this with the situation we're in. So part one of the 5-step recovery plan is really about assessing the adaptations that you've made as we upended our business models and jumped into living with the pandemic. So there's probably some things that worked really well, and there's probably some things that didn't. I bet there's a lot of lessons that your team learned and a lot of things that they might do differently. And right now, this starts with the conversation. You can do this virtually, and I would invite you to get your team together and really start thinking about what did they learn. And what you'll learn is that some of those things probably will continue for quite a while, and some of them you might want to get rid of. Some of them might be permanent adaptations, and some of them you can probably improve on, and I bet you've got some best practices that you can even pull from. It's important to have that conversation so that leaders feel like these lessons are being captured and that the company can grow and move forward from it. There's probably some things that will change your culture, potentially forever, and we'll talk about that in a bit. The second step in the leadership recovery and re-engagement plan is to really re-engage and realign with a good hard look at your business strategy. My guess is there's probably some things in your strategy that will stay absolutely the same, and we know they're rock solid. There are probably some other things, however, that you may not be able to deliver on this year. Let's look at the impact of your customers. What's happened to them, and how is what they've gone through going to affect your position in the market and some of the work that you do? Let's look at, are there shifts in behaviors, buying patterns, preferences, things like that that you're going to need to adapt to? And how are those going to affect your strategy, both in the short and the long term? We want to make sure that we're looking at this not just for the immediate, but also for the rest of 2020 and even into 2021. As we think about re-engaging and realigning around whatever those strategic changes are, it becomes even more important to move to step 3 and think about how do you create a shared strategic agenda and set of priorities so that when decisions need to be made, your team is crystal clear on what has to happen in order to drive that strategy. The way we do this is by looking at and identifying all of the capabilities that the organization will need. So what are the abilities the organization must deliver in order to drive those critical few things in the strategy that must happen, particularly this year? We want to identify those capabilities, and then more importantly, we want to assess them. They're not all created equal. And it's really important that we figure out which are the ones that are going to allow you to drive your strategy the farthest, the fastest right now. So once we figure those things out, we want to take a look at the culture. I already mentioned the fact that we probably have some adaptations that have happened due to COVID that may change your culture. That's okay, totally expected. But what we want to make sure is that what you're driving is the culture that's going to enable you to deliver those capabilities that you need to drive your strategy. That's going to require some intentionality, and it requires some conversation. So it's another great one that can continue now virtually. And once we figure out, once we get aligned around the structure, the next step is taking all of what we just talked about, be it what did we learn, where does the strategy stand today, what's going to be critical, and what are those capabilities? And we want to take a look at all of that and align our structure and our talent around how to deliver it. So the structure makes sure that you can deliver it as efficiently and effectively as possible. Your talent, it's really important to have the best talent in charge of the most critical capabilities. And then we want to make sure that your investments are prioritized so that everyone knows what happens next, whether it be time, money, resource investment. Really important to have those priorities clear and we want to make sure that you are 100% certain that the next activity you invest in is the one that's going to drive your strategy. So these steps all together, they take about 3 or 4 days spaced out over a couple of weeks. They can happen virtually. It's not a huge time investment. And they're really designed to help leaders and teams stand up, come back stronger, and be more resilient than they ever have before. I look forward to talking to you about it.